The moment that changed everything. What if I told you that in one single week, the tennis world experienced something so emotional, so unexpected, so completely unbelievable, that fans around the world were left speechless? We're not talking about a championship match. We're not talking about a record broken on a scoreboard. We're talking about something far more powerful than that. We're talking about a young girl from the Philippines, standing in a press room, completely breaking down in tears, because her childhood hero had just told her 5 words that changed her life forever. This is that story. And trust me, you are not ready for it. Before we dive in, I want to be honest with you. When I first heard about everything that happened this week, I thought people were exaggerating. I thought maybe the internet was blowing things out of proportion the way it always does. But then I watched the footage. I read the reports. I followed every single piece of the story, from beginning to end. And I realized, no, this one is real. This one actually happened. And this one deserves to be told properly. Because what unfolded this week wasn't just a tennis story. It was a human story. A story about dreams, about legends, about a torch being passed from one generation to the next in the most emotional way imaginable. It had everything: tears, controversy, wedding photos that broke the internet, comeback rumors that refused to die, and a mentorship moment so powerful it may have permanently changed the career of one of the most exciting young players alive today. So settle in, get comfortable, because this one hits different. Let's talk about the off-season for a moment. Normally, when the tennis season winds down, things go quiet. Players disappear on vacation. They post beach photos. They rest their bodies, reset their minds, and slowly prepare for what comes next. That's how it's supposed to work. That is absolutely not what happened this time. Instead, the tennis world exploded. And at the center of that explosion, as they have been for over 2 decades, were the Williams sisters. Venus, Serena. 2 names that don't just belong to tennis. 2 names that belong to history. But the most emotional story of this entire week, the one that left fans reaching for tissues, begins somewhere else entirely. It begins in the Philippines. It begins with a 20-year-old young woman who has spent her entire life dreaming of a moment exactly like the one she was about to experience. Her name is Eala. And if you don't know that name yet, you will never forget it after today. Here's what makes Eala's story so special. She didn't come from a country with a long tennis tradition. She didn't grow up with access to the world's best facilities from the beginning. She came from a nation where tennis was never the dominant sport, where football, basketball, and boxing captured the national imagination, and she chose to carry the Philippine flag into one of the most competitive arenas on the planet anyway. And not only did she choose it, she thrived. Training at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, Eala spent years grinding in relative silence, improving every aspect of her game, building the mental toughness required to survive at the highest level. And little by little, she started making history. She became the first Filipino player to win a Grand Slam singles match. She broke into the WTA top 50. She became a movement, not just an athlete, because every time she stepped onto the court, she carried the dreams of 110 million people with her. Think about that weight for a second. Every serve, every forehand, every match point, played not just for herself, but for an entire nation that had been waiting decades for a moment like this. That is the woman who walked onto the court at the ASB Classic. That is the woman who is about to come face to face with living legend Venus Williams. And that is the woman whose life was about to change forever. On paper, the doubles match looked completely one-sided. Eala and her partner Iva Jovic, 2 young rising stars, against Venus Williams and her partner Elena Vesnina, a 7-time Grand Slam champion, one of the most respected names the sport has ever produced. A woman who had been winning matches before Eala was even born. Every logical prediction pointed in one direction: experience over youth, legend over rising star, the established force versus the hopeful newcomer. But tennis has never cared much about logic. Because when the final point was played, when the match was over, it was Eala and Jovic who came out